Look, I'm not Tony Robbins, okay? I'm not gonna gas you up and make you feel like achieving all your dreams are gonna be super easy and that if you could just believe in yourself, you could do it. Like, no. That is not how the real world works. For the most part, the vast majority of people don't get exceptional outcomes in their life. The vast majority of people end up doing things that they don't want to do. So I'm not someone who's going to put rose-colored glasses on the idea of self-improvement and following your dreams. I'm going to tell you the way that it really is. And I'm going to tell you how to create an attitude that you're going to need to actually become exceptional, to actually become extraordinary and do things that most people won't do. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 2% rule. And this is an idea that I took from someone who wrote an amazing book called Outwitting the Devil. And I'm going to add my 2 cents on top of what he said in the book. But before we get to that, make sure that you are using the tools of engagement on whatever platform you see this to engage with the video. So if that's on YouTube, that means subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you get brand new videos. If it's on Instagram, share it to your story with your friends, Facebook. So there's this book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And basically the book is about this imaginary conversation that the author is having with the devil. So, it's not meant to be literally the devil. It's just kind of a metaphor for all of the forces that keep people held back in life. And there's a term used in the book about the vast majority of people, the 98% of the people that don't get what they want from life. And he calls these people drifters. So, you can kind of tell what a drifter is basically in the name. It's someone who just drifts and coasts through life. It's someone who gets stuck into these patterns where they're doing a lot of the things that they know they shouldn't be doing and they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. In the book, it also talks about this idea of people getting into a hypnotic rhythm. And a hypnotic rhythm is basically where you start to go through the motions so often that you're stuck in these deep grooves and patterns that you're unable to get out of. And you're just susceptible to all the different things that cause people to get into that mindset. Things like working at a job you hate. Things like putting bad things into your body. Things like being distracted by the entertainment in the media. Things like letting the opinions of other people dictate your actions. So there's a bunch of different things that will get in the way of what you want and put people into these drifting mindset. And if you look around, if you see most people in society, one thing I want you to do is when you're walking around, look at people's eyes, look at their facial expressions, look at them and see if they have any life to them, right? If you go through and look at a lot of different people, you'll almost see like this drone-like quality in the way that a lot of people look. And that's what happens when you get put into this autopilot state of being where you're not really awake and you're not really aware. So in the book, it talks about the fact that 98% of people are drifters, but then there are 2% of people who are not drifters. These are people who, instead of letting the winds of life blow them in whatever direction, they decide to consciously aim and pursue goals that mean a lot to them. They decide to block out the distractions from the world and actually focus on living an exceptional life, living an extraordinary life. So how do you become one of these 2% of people? How do you actually become exceptional? How do you avoid the fate that happens to most people to where they just drift through life and they don't achieve any of their goals? I have a couple different ideas. Again, I'm not someone who is going to sugarcoat the advice for you. So think about some of these things I'm about to say, and I'm going to give it to you really, really straight. One thing that was really helpful for me was this idea of just understanding up front that, like, if you want to have exceptional results, extraordinary outcomes in your life, you're just going to have to be the exception to the rule. The rule is mediocrity. The rule is drifting. The rule is letting those outside forces, those devilish forces get to you. So you have to just decide up front that you're going to be the exception. And you're going to have to decide you're going to be the exception because everything around you is going to contradict the way that you want to live your life. You want to stand out and you want to have amazing accomplishments. Most people don't want to stand out and have amazing accomplishments. Most people are going to want to pull you down to their level, and it's not something where they're being evil or they're being consciously trying to do this to you, but is the minute you try to rise out of your station, it's just going to affect people a certain way, and they're just going to do things that are going to try to bring you down. So, they might have little slight comments talking about how some of the dreams that you have might be a little bit impractical, or they might feign concern for you, or they might do a number of different little tiny subtle things that subconsciously try to tell you that you're a little bit crazy for trying to do what you want to do. So you're going to have to put yourself in a mental state where you can somehow block out everything else that's going on in the world. You're going to have to block out the influences from your friends and family. You're going to definitely have to block out the influences from the media, from television, entertainment. Like the level of propaganda and brainwashing in those elements is so deep that for a while you might just have to shut it off. Other ways that you can focus on being the exception to the rule is understanding what people who have become the exception to the rule have done and trying to reverse engineer backwards and figure out what you need to do for yourself. So, take my life. Excuse me. Most people never make it to the point where they're making a full-time living with their writing. And when I would go through, I would read these blog posts about making a living writing. I'd take these online courses where they would say things like, only 2% of the people actually finish these courses and make it happen. In my mind, I just decided, okay, I'm going to be one of these people that makes it happen. What do I need to do that? And so I looked at those people who had the outcomes I wanted, and I tried to figure out some of the things that they had in common. So one of the things they had in common was a lot of them had spent 5 to 10 years working on their craft. A lot of people are unwilling to do that. But 6 years ago, I made a commitment that I was going to follow through and go through that timeline because that's what I saw needed to be done to be successful. I reverse engineered a lot of the other strategies that they were using, including the way that they were marketing their work, little different subtleties that I noticed in the craft. So basically I looked at, and overall I had this attitude that I was going to be an anomaly, right? So a lot of the times when people would say stuff about certain industries, I would just look at them and just say, they're not talking about me. Oh, 90% of businesses fail. Oh, that's great. I'm in the 10%. They're not talking about me. Most writers don't make a full-time living writing. Oh, that's great. I'm not most writers. I'm going to make a full-time living writing. Most people don't follow their dreams. Most people are the 98%. Most people are the drifters. Oh, that's great. That means that there's 2% of people that are going to be successful. And that's the cool thing about being the exception to the rule. Like, even if only 2% of people are going to be non-drifters and are going to move in the direction of their goals, if you divide that by 7, multiply that by 7 billion people on planet Earth, there's still a lot of people who can be successful, right? So I took that attitude, and overall, the one thing that did it for me was just, I don't know, I'm constantly thinking about my life and what to do to be exceptional. And I just try to burn the same messages in my brain over and over again, the same way that I try to burn them in your brain. Most of my videos are the same exact message. I'm just trying to pump that same energy to you over and over and over again. And it basically comes down to somebody has to be in that category. Some people have to be the exception to the rule. Why won't you be that person? Why don't you just at some point in your life decide, you say, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make millions of dollars. I'm going to follow my dream. I'm going to start an organization to change the world. It's going to be me. Let everyone else be in the 98%. Let everyone else go to the mean. Let everyone else converge to the center. I'm going to be someone who's going to stand out. And then you just start to do the work. And then over time you eventually realize that there's nothing, you don't need to be anything special to get exceptional outcomes or to get extraordinary results. Like, look at the word itself, extraordinary. So if you want to be extraordinary, you have to take whatever's been given to you and just apply an insane amount of effort, right? You have to, there's no shortcuts to this. You have to develop almost a compulsive, obsessive level of motivation and focus to get what you want and to be exceptional. And most people just aren't willing to do that. And that's okay. Most people don't want to spend 5 to 10 years of their life working on some insane, outlandish dream that may or may not pan out. Most people would rather take the path where they know the outcomes they're going to get. There is a possibility that you put all your chips to the table and you still fail. There is a possibility where you put all this work in and you still don't get what you want, but you got to roll the dice, because what else are you going to do? Those are your two options. You can be in the 98% or you can be in the 2%. And the only difference between the two is making the conscious decision that you're going to be the exception to the rule. Okay, if you want to join the 2%, this book right here can definitely help you get there. It's called Real Help, an Honest Guide to Self-Improvement. It tells you brutal truths that are going to smack you in the face and get you motivated to change. If you're on YouTube, make sure to check that out in the description below. All other platforms, it should be posted somewhere on the interwebs. Thanks again for watching another video. I'm going to be putting a lot more content out, so I will see you on the next video.